Greetings class, welcome to today's lesson. We're going to look at grammar, but majorly Form 4 grammar, and we're looking at phrases as a broad spectrum, yes, but we will narrow it down to participle phrases. But before we get to participle phrases, we're going to look at what phrases are. So I'll just introduce. So a phrase from Form 1 to Form 3, you have been introduced to what phrases are, and right from Form 1, you've been told that a phrase is a group of words that functions as a single unit in a sentence. So it's a group of words, but it functions as a single unit in a sentence. This single unit could be, it could function as a noun or a verb or an adverb, an adjective, or a participle. Oh, not to forget a preposition. Preposition. So this group of words, this phrase that we're talking about, will function as a noun. It will be a group of words, but it will function as a noun. It will be a group of words, but it will function as a verb. It will be a group of words, but it will function as an adverb, or an adjective, or a participle, or a preposition. So in Form 1, you were introduced to noun phrases. Noun phrases. Before we get to noun phrases, this phrase, it consists of the head word, and or modifiers. So it could either be just the head word itself, like in noun phrases. Mary is just a noun phrase. But now, when it comes to preposition, the preposition cannot function on its own and you call it a prepositional phrase. But in noun phrases, you can call Mary a noun phrase. But now when it gets to preposition adjectives, you need to have other words that make up the phrase. So the phrase consists of the head word and its modifiers. So if it is a noun phrase, it will consist of the noun and the modifiers. These modifiers, when I say N, now N means what? Noun. So the modifiers could be determiners. It could be quantifiers. It could be, so let me give you examples of determiners. We have a, an, the. Quantifiers could be some, few, could be even pronouns, e.g. my, this. Okay, those ones are modifiers of what? The noun. What do we mean by a modifier? A word, it is a word that describes a noun. A modifier, a word that maybe we can say gives more information about a noun. So that when we say that the noun phrase will contain the noun and its modifiers, then it will be the noun, for example, boy. So you add modifiers to it so that it makes up the noun phrase. So when you say this boy, you're telling us more about which boy you're talking about. You're giving us more information about which boy. If you say a boy, no problem. It could be any other boy, okay? Or maybe this, if it is not just a boy, it could be even adjectives. Sorry, before we continue, even adjectives are part of modifiers of noun because adjectives describe nouns. So when they are combined together with the noun, they make up the noun phrase. They will function as the noun in the sentence. The noun phrase will function as it's a group of words that functions as a noun. As a noun in a sentence. So you say this boy. So this boy is a noun phrase. A boy is a noun phrase. Give me a word like pen. Pen. You can add my blue. Already you have this my blue are modifiers. They make up the noun phrase. They must work with the noun because they give us more information about the noun. So all of them, they are called what? This is a noun phrase. So my blue pen is lost. So in the sentence, my blue pen is functioning as a noun in the sentence. Now, when we get to, we'll look at a lesson where we'll be looking at the functions of noun in sentences. And nouns can function as the subject, the object. And when we'll be looking at that, you'll now understand how it functions as the what? The noun in the sentence. The noun functions as a performer of an action or the receiver of an action in a sentence. So today, we're just looking at phrases and reminding ourselves, because I'm assuming that you've already learned about it. So we are reminding ourselves what we know about phrases right from Form 1. So Form 1, we looked at noun phrases, and I've given you an example of a noun phrase. This boy, a boy, even Mary, 3 girls. You know, remember this word 3 is a modifier. It must, when it functions like this, it becomes a group of words that is functioning as a noun. So we come to verb phrase. We come to verb phrase. Let me just write. So a verb phrase is a group of words that function as a verb in a sentence. So the verb phrase will contain again the head word and its modifier. So the head word in the verb phrase is a verb. The head word in the noun phrase is the noun and its modifiers. So the verb plus its modifiers will now make up the verb phrase. Now, one easy thing about verb phrase, whatever modifies a verb, usually an auxiliary. Auxiliaries. So that we can say, so the verb cannot function in its own without the auxiliaries. So that we have is eating. This already is a verb phrase. So what are the auxiliaries? Before I give you, already this is a verb phrase. It's a verb phrase. Auxiliaries include primary. Auxiliaries include primary and modal. So under primary, we have forms of the verb to be, e.g. is, was, forms of do, forms of have. And then modal auxiliaries include may, shall, will. So all this, when they occur with a main verb is an action word. A verb is an action word. So for you to make up the verb phrase, you will need the verb and its modifier. Whatever functions with the verb is one that gives us more information. It gives us the state of the verb. In this case, the state will be like, a verb can just be, for example, we can have a verb like be, but it has its forms, e.g. is, was, were, are. So for you to say we are here, we can say we are here. But if it is used in a sentence, in this case, it will be used as an auxiliary. Now, another main verb could be, here it can be used as an auxiliary, but another main verb could be work. So you can't say, John work there. You must say, John is working there. So that gives us the state. Which state is it? Is he working now? Or was working, or is working, or is still working, you know those words. So that's why we need an auxiliary, a helping word. Auxiliaries are also called helping verbs. They help the verb. They help us know how the verb is functioning in that sentence, in the aspect of tense, in the sense of tense. Because verbs gives us actions, but which actions? When were they happening? Okay, so here the verb will have an auxiliary and a verb so that it can make the what? The verb phrase. So an example of a verb phrase is very easy. We can have is working, have been working, maybe was working. All these make up the verb phrase. When I write VP, just know it's a verb phrase. So it will contain the verb and the what? The modifiers. The modifiers of a verb phrase are the auxiliaries only. Not like in a noun where we have pronouns, quantifiers, what, that describe the noun. Here we only have the modifiers. The only word that works with a verb is an auxiliary in this case. All right? So that is all for a verb phrase. Then the next one, the next type of phrase is a prepositional phrase. So again, this is a group of words that functions as a preposition. I won't repeat writing because by now I think you know the drill. It's almost the same kind of description, only that here it will function as a preposition. It will contain the head word, which is the preposition, and its modifiers. So the head word of a preposition, the modifiers of a preposition are the noun phrases. The noun. So that we can have, for example, a preposition like at, or in, or under. So under the table, in a car, at the cinema. Why do we call them modifiers? They tell us where the preposition, how the preposition is functioning, as in where. How do prepositions function in sentences? They tell us where something is. So for it to function as a prepositional phrase, it cannot occur on its own. It must occur with a noun phrase. So the head word here again, the head word here is a preposition, and the modifiers are the noun phrase. So this is an example of a prepositional phrase. Number four, we have the adverbial phrase. The adverbial phrase. Again, like we said before, it will be a group of words that function as a what? As an adverb. What is an adverb? Is a word that gives us more information about a verb. For example, they walked. If it here is a verb, walked. Then when you add quickly, that is a what? Quickly is an adverb. So here we are looking not at the verb. We are now looking at how we can, which words can function with what? Quickly. All right. So, like we said from the beginning, that the noun phrase will have the head word and its modifiers. So here the head word is the adverb, okay, and its modifiers. Okay. Adverbs occur on their own. For example, you can only have the adverb. The modifiers of an adverb are intensifiers. Intensifiers are also called adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree. So that when you say quickly, then you say the intensifier here. Adverbs of degree, let me just give you examples. They include very, to. Okay, those ones are some of the examples of the adverbs of degree. So that when they work with when they do what? When you put them together with another adverb, then it will be functioning as an intensifier. But when joined together, it will be an adverb phrase. So the example will be very quickly. So this is an adverbial phrase. Even examples like last year. Examples like too often. Okay, all these two verbs, two adverbs, okay, they function as what? The adverbial phrase. We say that what do you call an adverbial phrase? It's a group of words that function as an adverb in a sentence. So that you say, he walked very quickly. So if you're asked, identify the adverbial phrase in the sentence, you just underline both of these. Okay? All right. Now we have the fifth one, which is an adjectival phrase. Adjectival phrase. Again, like we said, an adjectival phrase is a group of words that functions as an adjective. So it will be a group of words that will function as an adjective. So in this case, the head word is the adjective and its modifiers. The modifiers in this case are, like here we say they're intensifiers. Here we say they're auxiliaries. In the noun phrase we say they're determiners, quantifiers, adjectives themselves. And here we are also including again intensifiers. Remember, an intensifier is not a new word. It's just an adverb of degree. But now it tells us to what extent, to what degree. All right, that's why we call them intensifiers. They tell us the intensity of an action. So here we have maybe an adjective like beautiful. So we add an intensifier to, then it becomes what? An adjectival phrase. Too beautiful. If it is tired, too tired. Okay, that's another adjective. Tired, too tired. Enough, fresh. If it is fresh, you can say fresh enough. We're saying that. So those are the basic ones that you've learned, because noun phrases are taught in Form 1. Verb phrases and adverbial phrases are taught in Form 2. Prepositional phrases and adjectival phrases are taught in Form 3. So all that is just like looking at how, basically we're just breaking down words, but now in terms of phrases. These are things you've learned. You've learned about nouns, verbs, adjectives. Now we're looking at them in a broad perspective, but now we're looking at them in a broad perspective in terms of phrases. And today we're also going to introduce a new one, which is called a participle phrase. A participle phrase. We've said that the phrases can function as nouns, they can function as verbs, they can function as adjectives, they can function as prepositions, they can function as adjectives. And again, they can also function as a participle.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hujambo mwanafunzi, karibu katika kipindi hiki chetu cha Kiswahili darasa la 8. Kwa siku ya leo basi tutajifunza vielezi vya kutilia mkazo. Vielezi tunajua kwamba ni yale maneno ambayo yanafafanua kitendo, yanafafanua kitenzi, yanafafanua jinsi kitendo kilivyotendwa. Hivyo basi wakati ambapo tunatilia mkazo ni kama vile tunasisitiza. Pia utasikia vinaitwa vielezi vya ukariri ama vielezi vya kutilia mkazo. Basi katika kipindi hiki ama kufikia mwisho wa kipindi hiki, nataka uwe na uwezo wa angalau kutumia hivi vielezi vya mkazo ama hivi vielezi vya kutilia mkazo katika sentensi. Utapata kujua kwamba unapotumia hivi vielezi vya kutilia mkazo, hasa katika mazungumzo yako ya kawaida, hasa katika maandishi, kazi yako inaonekana safi tena tamu zaidi. Inakuwa tamu ya kusikilizwa, inakuwa ni tamu ya kusomwa. Hivyo basi utakapovijua hivi vielezi, basi hakikisha kwamba unavitumia ili kuweza kuungia lugha yako, kutia ladha mazungumzo yako, kutia ladha maandishi yako na kadhalika. Nataka nikueleze tu kisa kidogo kutokana na kitabu chetu hiki ambacho tulisema ni Kiswahili Kitukuzwe. Ni kusomea kisehemu ambacho kimetumia hivyo vielezi vya mkazo kwa wingi. Hapa kwenye picha tunaona kuna watu wawili ambao wamekamatana mikono, mmoja mwanamume mwingine mwanamke. Hivyo basi inaonekana kwamba hawa watu wawili wako ni kama vile wanaonekana kuwa wamependana kwa mapenzi yasiyojua kufa. Zedu, nasikia vipi? Kifungu chenyewe kinasoma hivi: Hawa ni Ali na Riziki. Wao ni wachumba, wamebanwa na mapenzi, hawaoni hawasikii. Yaani wamebanwa na mapenzi, hawaoni hawasikii. Ali na Riziki ni marafiki wa kufa kuzikana. Unasikia vipi? Hawaoni hawasikii. Tena unasikia kwamba ni marafiki wa kufa kuzikana. Wacha niandike hayo. Unasikia kwamba hawaoni hawasikii. Hawaoni hawasikii. Unasikia vipi? Hawa ni Ali na Riziki. Wao ni wachumba, wamebanwa na mapenzi, hawaoni hawasikii. Ali na Riziki ni marafiki wa kufa kuzikana. La Ali ndilo la Riziki, la Ali ndilo la Riziki na la Riziki ndilo la Ali. Ni dhahiri shahiri, ni dhahiri shahiri, ni dhahiri shahiri Ni dhahiri shahiri kuwa wako katika mipango ya harusi. Bila shaka harusi yao itashangiliwa kwa shangwe na hoi hoi. Kwa shangwe na hoi hoi. Itashangiliwa kwa shangwe na hoi hoi. Baada ya harusi wataishi raha mstarehe kama mume na mke daima dawamu. Waishi raha mstarehe daima dawamu. Basi nafikiri umepata. Haya ndiyo maneno ambayo tunasema kwamba ni ya kutilia mkazo, hasa unapozungumza na unataka kutilia jambo fulani mkazo. Unasikia kwamba hawa watu ni wapenzi, hawaoni hawasikii. Wako katika mapenzi, hivyo basi wao ni marafiki wa kufa kuzikana. Ni dhahiri shahiri kwamba wamepanga kufunga ndoa. Zaidi unasikia vipi? Hiyo ndoa yao, harusi yao itashangiliwa kwa shangwe na hoi hoi, ili baadaye waishi raha mustarehe daima dawamu kama mume na mke. Basi hivi ndivyo ambavyo tunasema ni vielezi vya kutilia mkazo. Basi cha muhimu ni uelewe haya maneno. Ni mengi tu, si haya tu ambayo nimeyatoa. Kwa mfano, naweza nikasema kwamba nataka tutumie mifano mingi. Mifano ni mingi tu. Unaweza ukasema alizua, wakati ambapo unataka kueleza kwamba alizua balaa katika mkutano huo. Unaweza ukasisitiza kwa kusema vipi? Ilikuwa balaa na belua. Balaa na belua. Ilikuwa balaa na belua mkutanoni, wakati kiongozi dhalimu aliposimama kuhutubu. Hapo ndipo alisema yote ya siri na dhahiri. Alisema yote ya siri na dhahiri. Aliposimama ulingoni akaeleza yote siri na dhahiri, lakini hakuna aliyemsikia kwa sababu kila mtu alikuwa ameyatilia masikio yake nta. Haya ni maneno zaidi. Kuna mengine kama vile kufa kupona. Kufa kupona. Kufa kupona. Wakang'ang'ana kukutu. Wakang'ang'ana kufa kupona na kupigana jino ukucha. Jino ukucha. wakapigana jino ukucha, wakang'ang'ana jino ukucha, wakafanya juu chini, wakafanya juu chini, wakafanya juu chini kuhakikisha kwamba huyo kiongozi amebanduliwa. Kwa sababu kazi yote aliyofanya, alipoteuliwa kama kiongozi, ilikuwa kazi bure bilashi. Ilikuwa kazi bure bilashi. Kazi bure bilashi. Bure bilashi kumaanisha kwamba ilikuwa bure tu. Ilikuwa bure bilashi. Sababu alipoenda pale, alipoteuliwa kama kiongozi wa kijiji, alienda akalaza damu. Hapiki hapakui. Hapiki hapakui. Hapiki hapakui. Akawa mzembe, akazembea kazini, akawa ni mtu ambaye hata unapomwambia, akawa ni kaidi, akawa haambiliki hasemezeki. Haambiliki akawa haambiliki hasemezeki. Huwezi ukamwambia, huwezi ukasema naye kando labda kwa ajili ya haambiliki hasemezeki. Watu nao ndwele zikaanza kuwaingia kwa sababu ya kutelekeza kazi yake huyo kiongozi. Hospitali zikawa na wagonjwa wingi, ikawa hali si hali tena. Tukawa na wagonjwa wengi, wagonjwa ambao ni wawele wa magonjwa tofauti tofauti. Kwa mfano, kuna wale ambao waliugua ugonjwa kama vile wa ukimwi. Mwingine akaletwa juzi akiwa si hayati, si mamati, si wa maji, si wa chakula. Hajiwezi kwa lolote. Hana udole hata kidogo. Kumaanisha kwamba alikuwa ni mtu ambaye hana uwezo hata kidogo. Haya, vipi zaidi? Kuna mengi ambayo nataka niongeze na nataka niweze kuyachukua kutoka kwenye kitabu chetu hiki ili tuweze kufafanukiwa zaidi. Kuna hii, tunasikia vipi? Kusoma kutwa kucha huchosha akili. Kutwa kucha, kusoma kutwa kucha huchosha akili. Kumaanisha kwamba kusoma tangia asubuhi hadi jioni hadi siku nyingine, unapata vipi? Hiyo hali huchosha akili ya mtu. Hivyo basi unasikia mtu fulani alijifungua salama salimini. Salama salimini. Huyo jamaa ama huyo mama, huyo mwanamke, huyo bibi alijifungua salama salimini. Alifika nyumbani salama salimini. Hapo unatilia mkazo jinsi ilivyokuwa. Alitembea kote kwa waganga na waganguzi, lakini hakusaidika. Uwele wake ndio uliomuua. Aliwaendea waganga na waganguzi. Waganga na waganguzi ili aweze kupata usaidizi, lakini wapi? Hakufaidika hata kidogo. Basi kuna mengine zaidi ambayo nataka nieleze hapa. Maisha ya siku hizi yamekuwa ni yanipe nikupe. Maisha yamekuwa ni yanipe nikupe. hakuna cha uzembe, hakuna haja ya kumsubiri mwenzako akupe tu, la hasha. Ni nipe nikupe, maisha ndio hayo. Kwa sababu hata muwe ndugu watoka nitoke, muwe ndugu watoka nitoke, hata muwe ndugu watoka nitoke, mmoja huweza akachoka. Hivyo basi kuna mifano mingi tu ambayo tunaweza tukaitumia kuonesha vielezi vya kutilia mkazo. Nataka nifanye hivi, msikilizaji, mtazamaji, kwamba nikupe kazi kidogo, kisha tuone kama utaweza kupata hayo yote. Wacha tuandike zoezi. Hivyo basi katika zoezi letu tuna haya, unaambiwa tunga sentensi ukitumia vielezi vya mkazo vifuatavyo. Kwanza ni hapiki hapakui. Pili ni dhahiri shahiri. Zaidi ni hana mbele wala nyuma. Kisha nambari ya 5 ni anawaza akiwazua. Zaidi mwisho ni kwa jino ukucha. Hivyo basi alipigana kwa jino ukucha kuhakikisha kwamba wanawe wamekula kila siku kwa kazi za vibarua. Anawaza akiwazua. Siku hizi baada ya kupata hasara kubwa kule kwenye biashara zake, Molena anawaza akiwazua, hapati suluhu la matatizo yake. Zaidi kuna hii hana mbele wala nyuma. Baada ya kuvuliwa ama baada ya kutimuliwa kazini, siku hizi Julia hana mbele wala nyuma, hana usaidizi wowote. Ni dhahiri shahiri kuwa wewe ndiwe uliye ila sukari iliyoachwa na mama jikoni. Zaidi hapiki hapakui. Huyo mke wangu siku hizi amekuwa hapiki hapakui, amezembea tu, hana udoli, hajiwezi na kadhalika. Kuna mengi ambayo unaweza ukatunga sentensi, sio hayo tu. Nataka nisitie hapo, nataka hii kazi, tunga sentensi zako. Si lazima ukatumia hizo ambazo nimekupa. Basi kuanzia mwanzo nashukuru kwamba umekuwa nami na utaweza kuongeza nyingine nyingi. Haya ni machache tu. Kuna mengine mengi ambayo unaweza ukayaongeza. Naomba kusitia hapo na nikushukuru kwa ajili ya kuwa nami tangia mwanzo hadi sasa. Sikubomba.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Wambaje mwanafunzi, karibu katika kipindi chetu kingine cha Kiswahili ambapo tunajifunza kuandika. Tunajifunza kuandika barua. Hapo awali katika kipindi kingine cha uandishi tuliwahi kujifunza barua ya kirafiki, tukaona sura yake, mambo ambayo ni muhimu kuzingatia. Leo hii tunasoma barua nyingine tofauti ambayo ni barua rasmi. Barua rasmi pia utasikia zinaitwa barua za kikazi ama barua ya kazi, barua ya kiofisi na kadhalika. Basi hizi barua huandikwa na nani kumwelekea nani? Hizi barua ningependa nikueleze kwamba huandikiwa watu ambao wana cheo, wana ofisi, wana mamlaka fulani. Ni barua inayoandikiwa mtu mwenye cheo, mwenye ofisi, mwenye mamlaka fulani. Hivyo basi anapotumiwa, bila shaka lazima kuwe na matumizi ya lugha yenye adabu, lugha yenye heshima, lugha ambayo haionyeshi kufahamiana kwa vyovyote vile. Ni lugha tu ambayo kwa kiasi fulani unaweza kusema ni lugha kavu ambayo unaona madhumuni yake ni kutoa ujumbe moja kwa moja. Hakuna haja ya kwenda kupatiana salamu, huna haja ya salamu katika barua rasmi. Hivyo basi leo katika kipindi chetu cha leo tutaangazia mambo muhimu ya kuzingatia hasa unapoandika barua ya sampuli hii. Kwanza kabisa acha tuanze kwa kufanya hivi. Tueleze barua rasmi ni aina gani. Unaweza ukasema kwamba ni barua yaani ni barua inayoandikiwa mtu mwenye cheo, ofisi au mamlaka fulani. Pia utapata pia inaitwa barua ya kiofisi. Katika lugha ya Kiingereza unasikia ikiitwa official letter. Basi katika barua za sampuli hii, lugha yake huwa ni ile ambayo ni ya adabu na heshima, na haionyeshi kufahamiana kwa vyovyote vile, ya haionyeshi kama anayeandika akimwandikia mwingine, haionyeshi kuna lugha ya kufahamiana. Hivyo basi nataka niseme kwamba lugha yake huwa rasmi, hutumia lugha rasmi, hutumia lugha rasmi na yenye adabu na heshima. Lugha inayotumika huwa ni yenye adabu na heshima. Basi cha muhimu ni uelewe kwamba ni barua inayoandikwa kwa mtu mwenye cheo au ofisi fulani. Uelewe barua yenyewe pia utapata ikiitwa ni barua ya kiofisi na hutumia lugha iliyo rasmi, official language. Yaani iwe ni lugha yenye adabu, yenye heshima unapoandika. Usionyeshe kufahamiana kwa vyovyote vile. Haina salamu. Ati kwamba unataka kumsalimu mkurugenzi mkuu katika kampuni fulani ya bima, la hasha. Haifai hata kidogo. Basi wacha tuangalie katika sehemu hii, tunafaa tuangalie mambo muhimu ya kuzingatia unapoandika barua hii. Mambo muhimu katika kuangalia muundo wake. Muundo wake huwa na nini? Muundo wake huwa vipi? Nambari ya kwanza kabisa, lazima barua yoyote ile iwe na anwani. Lakini anwani katika barua rasmi huwa ni mbili. Anwani mbili. Muundo au sura yake lazima kuwe na anwani mbili ya mwandishi na mwandikiwa. Ya mwandishi na mwandikiwa. Anwani ziwe mbili. Zaidi, nambari ya pili, chini ya anwani ya mwandishi hakikisha kwamba umeandika tarehe. Tarehe. Hakikisha kwamba umeandika tarehe. Baada ya hapo, baada ya anwani ya mwandikiwa, andika mtajo. Mtajo. Andika mtajo kwa bwana au bi. Kwa bwana au bi, mkurugenzi na kadhalika. Aya, huo mtajo ni muhimu. Kisha baada ya hapo ni vizuri ueleze ni nini kiini cha kazi yako. Nambari ya 4, ni mada. Mada ni muhimu uandike barua yako inahusu nini. Kama vile kwa kutumia maneno kama haya, mfano, yahusu, kisha yahusu. Yahusu nini? Yahusu labda ombi la kazi, malalamiko, ama labda hofu kazini, hali mbaya ya kazi, unalalamika, ama pia labda unatoa shukrani, ama mwaliko, unatoa mwaliko na kadhalika. Yahusu nini? Yahusu, ama unaweza ukatumia namna hii, mintarafu. Mintarafu ya kuandika barua yenyewe ni gani? Mbona uandike mint, ama pia unaweza ukatumia neno kama vile kuhusu, lakini unaandika kifupi namna nilivyoandika kwa kutumia herufi kubwa namna hiyo. Na mada utakapoiandika unapigia mstari na unatumia rula, si mkono huria hivi hivi, la, kazi yako ionekane safi. Basi baada ya mada tunaingia nambari ya 5. Nambari ya 5 ni mwili. Sehemu ya mwili ni baada ya kuandika anwani, ama baada ya kuandika mada, baada ya kuandika kichwa cha barua yako, ingia moja kwa moja kwenye aya ya kwanza. Aya ya kwanza, andika ujumbe wako. Una haja gani? Andika mahitaji yako hapo. Kwa mfano, kama ni kazi, kama ni barua ya kuomba kazi, omba kazi katika aya ya kwanza. Usiende kwenye aya ya pili ati ndo unaomba kazi, la hasha, haifai hivyo. Aya ya kwanza iwe na ujumbe maalum. Iwe na ujumbe maalum. Hizo aya nyingine zinazofuata ziwe ni maelezo ya aya nyingine. Aya nyingine hizo ziwe ni ujumbe wa ziada ambao ungependa huyo ambaye ulimwandikia aweze kujua. Basi kwa mfano, kama ulikuwa unaomba kazi, omba kazi katika aya ya kwanza. Aya ya pili, ya tatu, ya nne, ya tano, toa maelezo zaidi. Sema mbona unafikiri kwamba unahitaji kazi hiyo. Tajriba yako ni gani? Umewahi kusoma hadi wapi? Na kadhalika. Basi mwisho kabisa ni hitimisho. Nambari ya 6 uandike hitimisho. Na katika hitimisho hapa na kutarajia wewe mwanafunzi umalize kwa maneno fulani. Maneno ya kuonesha wewe ni nani. Wako mwaminifu. Mfano unaweza ukatumia neno wako mwaminifu. Wako mwaminifu, kisha unatia sahihi. Kwa mfano tutie sahihi ya aina hiyo, kisha unaandika jina lako. Jina labda unaweza ukajiita Juma Mukosi. Ni mfano tu. Unatumia mfano kama huo, Juma Mukosi. Wako mwaminifu, sahihi kwanza, kisha unamalizia namna hiyo. Basi barua yako itakuwa imekamilika. Nataka tuanze nawe moja kwa moja. tuanze kuandika tu, sio barua tunaandika, lakini tuone jinsi itakavyoonekana katika barua ama katika karatasi yako, katika karatasi ya kitabu, kwenye karatasi ya mtihani na kadhalika. Na sio mtihani tu, mara nyingine tunasoma kwa ajili ya kujua mambo, sio kwa ajili ya mtihani peke yake, lakini mtihani pia ni muhimu. Basi wacha tuingie hapa kwenye ukurasa huu hapa. Katika huu ukurasa nataka tuangalie sura ya barua rasmi. Mifano kwa kuelekeza tu, kuonesha tu. Muundo wake tunasikia kwamba unafaa uzingatie anwani mbili, ya mwandishi na ya mwandikiwa. Jambo la kwanza ni anwani mbili. Barua rasmi, anwani yako wewe mwenye kuandika, labda unasoma katika shule ya msingi. Shule ya msingi ya Nkondi, sanduku la posta shule ya msingi ya Nkondi, sanduku la posta 1453 katika mji wa Tharaka. Kisha tuna sehemu fulani hapa unaweza ukaandika tarehe. Tarehe ni muhimu. Tarehe unaandika chini baada ya kuvuka mstari mmoja. Hii ni anwani ya mwandishi. Baada ya kuvuka mstari mmoja, andika labda tarehe 2 mwezi wa 4 mwaka 2003. Unaandika barua kwa ajili ya kuomba kazi. Samahani, si kuomba kazi, kuomba nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza. Nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza katika shule ya upili jirani. Shule ya upili jirani ama shule ya upili uipendayo wewe. Hivyo basi hiyo barua unafaa umtumie nani? Bila shaka unafaa umuombe nafasi mwalimu mkuu. Wa shule gani? Shule ya upili ya Tharaka. Hivyo ni sawa. Hapa anwani ya mwandikiwa ni mwalimu mkuu. Unamwandikia mwalimu mkuu. Baada ya anwani yako mwandishi, tarehe, kisha unaandika anwani ya mwandikiwa ambaye ni mwalimu mkuu shule ya upili ya Tharaka, sanduku la posta 439. Eneo ni Tharaka, huko ndiko sanduku lako la posta liko. Basi baada ya kuandika anwani mbili na tarehe, hakikisha umeandika tarehe yetu hiyo hapo. Ni muhimu umeiandika. Kisha kuja hapa kwenye sehemu ya mtajo. Mtajo ni pale ambapo unataja mtu ambaye unampa habari, unampa ile taarifa. Hivyo basi ni bwana au bi. Vuka mstari mmoja kisha uandike bwana au bi. kisha koma. Lakini hapa kwa sababu unajua ni labda wewe ni mwanafunzi wa kike ama mwanafunzi wa kiume na unajua mwalimu utakayempata kule ni mwalimu wa kiume, basi kuna haja ya kuandika B kweli? Haina haja. Andika tu moja kwa moja bwana. Kwa bwana. Baada ya hapo nenda kwenye sehemu ya mada. Mada tulisema unaweza ukatumia kitu kama vile yahusu, mintarafu ama kuhusu. Basi tunaweza kurejea hapa yahusu, mintarafu ama kuhusu. Sehemu ya mada hapa sasa. Baada ya kuandika hili neno bwana, kuja hapa tena chini, andika mint. Mint, sio lazima ukaandika mint, unaweza pia ukaandika yahusu kwa kutumia kile kifupisho ambacho nilikupa. Mint, unafanya nini? Una haja gani? Mada yako ni gani hapa? Labda unaomba nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza. Ombi la nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza. Ombi la nafasi. Ombi la nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza ama ombi la nafasi, ikiwa hivyo inatosha. Basi baada ya kufanya hivyo, msikilizaji, mtazamaji, hakikisha kwamba unatumia rula yako kwa ajili ya kuchora mstari. Kazi yako ionekane nadhifu zaidi. Onesha kwamba unatumia mstari, chora mstari, chora mstari. Kazi yako ionekane nadhifu. Baada ya hapo, tunakuja sasa kwenye mwili. Mwili tulisema kwamba aya ya kwanza katika aya ya kwanza, toa lengo la barua moja kwa moja. Usianze kwa salamu. Huna haja ya kusalimu kwa sababu huyu mtu hata hamfahamiani. Basi aya ya kwanza, omba nafasi moja kwa moja. Ninaiandika barua hii kwa ajili ya kuomba nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza katika hii shule yako ya upili ya Tharaka. Kisha baada ya kufanya hivyo, unaeleza wewe ni nani. Baada ya hapo, ingia kwenye aya ya pili ambapo unatoa maelezo zaidi. Aya ya tatu, maelezo zaidi. Aya ya pili, ya tatu, ya nne, toa maelezo zaidi. Katika aya zinazofuata, eleza. Mbona unafikiri kwamba unafaa kupata nafasi katika hiyo shule? Hapo ndipo ambapo unaweza ukatoa maelezo zaidi. Useme kwamba alama ambazo ulipata alama 400, ulipata alama 385. Eleza jinsi ambavyo wewe ni mfanyakazi, wewe ni mchapakazi, ikija ni mambo ya vitabu na kadhalika. Ni maelezo zaidi ambayo unafaa kuyapata. Eleza nidhamu yako. Lakini hayo mambo yote ambayo unatolea maelezo tofauti, hakikisha kwamba kila jambo liko katika aya yake. Kisha mwisho kabisa ni hitimisho. Mwisho kabisa ni hitimisho. Katika hii hitimisho, hakikisha kwamba unaonyesha uaminifu wako. Andika pale wako mwaminifu, kisha sahihi yako. Kumbuka, unapotumia sahihi inaonyesha kwamba huu ni kama vile ni kazi ya kiofisi, kazi ambayo ni rasmi. Kutia sahihi ni kuonyesha urasmi uliopo. Hivyo basi, wako mwaminifu, sahihi yako, kisha jina lako ambalo ni rasmi. Basi malizia kwa wako mwaminifu, koma, sahihi, Juma Mukosi. Kisha barua yako itakuwa imekamilika. Barua yako itakuwa imekamilika hivyo. Yaani nimesema katika aya ya kwanza, toa lengo la barua moja kwa moja, usikawie. Kisha zaidi, aya zinazofuata, toa maelezo zaidi. Eleza mbona unafikiri kwamba unahitaji, unafaa na sio mwingine, unafaa kupata ile nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza. Mbona unafikiri ni wewe? Eleza nidhamu yako iko vipi. Eleza matokeo yako ya mtihani wa kitaifa wa KCPE na kadhalika. Basi ukifanya hivyo, kazi yako itakuwa imetimia ya uandishi wa barua. Na atakayeipokea basi, tajuaje labda atakupa nafasi. Basi sura yenyewe ndio hiyo ambayo tulianza kwa kusema kwamba lazima iwe na anwani mbili. Lazima kuwe na tarehe baada ya anwani ya mwandishi. Kisha baada ya hapo ni anwani ya mwandikiwa. Kisha mtajo, alafu mada ambayo ni ombi la nafasi. Aya ya kwanza tukasema inafaa iwe na lengo la barua moja kwa moja. Aya ya pili, ya tatu, ya nne ni maelezo ya ziada. Kisha mwisho ni wako mwaminifu, sahihi, kisha Juma Mukosi. Nashukuru kwa wewe kufuatana nami, na nataka niamini kwamba hapa umekuwa ukiandika yale ambayo naandika hapa kwenye ubao. Nataka nikupe kazi ambayo tu bila shaka ni kuandika barua. Kazi yenyewe nataka niandike hapa. Basi zoezi lako ni hili. Mwandikie barua mwalimu mkuu wa shule ya upili uipendayo ukimwomba nafasi katika kidato cha kwanza. Basi kazi yako ndio hiyo. Hakikisha kwamba barua yako iwe na anwani mbili, iwe na tarehe, iwe na mtajo, kisha iwe na mada, mwili na hitimisho. Ukifanya hivyo, basi barua utakayoiandika itakuwa ya kufana na inayotamanika. Naomba kusitia hapo, nikishukuru kwa kuwa nawe tangia mwanzo hadi sasa. Sikubomba.
Hello learners, welcome to our today's lesson. We'll be introducing a new unit called ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion. And by the end of this unit, you the learner should be able to, number one, work out problems involving ratio. The second objective, by the end of this unit, should be able to work out problems involving simple direct and indirect proportion. There are only two objectives. The first objective is related to the first part of the unit. The second is related to the second one. So we have ratio and proportion. Those are two things. Ratio and proportion. We will start off with ratio. Okay, ratio, and you have seen by the end of this unit you should be able to work out problems involving ratio. So let's focus our attention on ratio. Then we will move on to proportion later on. Today we will focus on ratio. Now, a ratio is simply a relationship between two or more quantities, that express how bigger or smaller, between, we are talking about a ratio being a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses how bigger one is from the other quantities, all right? Relationship between quantities. In other words, ratios are used to compare. Ratios are used to compare quantities. Ratios are used to compare quantities. A relationship between two or more quantities that expresses their relationship. For example, we may give an example here and say, example of a relationship is, if Ali's weight is 40 kg or kilograms, and Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms. Okay, these are two quantities, 40 kilograms and 50 kilograms. If Ali's weight is 40 kilograms and Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms, then their weight can be expressed as 40 to 50. Can be expressed as 40 to 50. When simplified further, 40 to 50, this 40 to 50 in its simplest form, would be 4 to 5. This 0 cancels out with this, so that we have 4 to 5 being the ratio of Ali's weight to Aisha's weight. Okay, Aisha's weight. Another example would be if you are to prepare a meal comprising of mixture of beans and maize. A meal comprising of a mixture of beans and maize. Traditionally, this is what we call githeri. If you are to cook githeri comprising of, say, 2 tins of beans and 3 tins of maize, 2 tins beans, 3 tins maize, then these quantities can be expressed in a ratio, in the ratio 2 to 3, 2 to 3. So these are examples of ratios. You have said ratios, or ratio helps us in comparing quantities or amounts. Now, having said that, we can go ahead and state that one very important points here, ratio should be always expressed in simplest form. Then number 2, we can also state that ratio should be always expressed in same unit, be expressed using the same unit. For example, here we say that Ali's weight is 40 kilograms. Aisha's weight is 50 kilograms. So these kilograms and these kilograms is what we are saying here, the same unit. You should not have a scenario where a quantity is expressed in a different unit from the other. They have to be the same unit. You should not have ratios being expressed, for example, in kilograms to grams. No, that should not be the case. So these two are very important when dealing with ratios. Number 1, ratios should be always expressed in simplest form. Number 2, ratios should be always expressed using the same unit. Let us take another example here. Another example. Number 1. What is the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter? What is the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter? This is the answer. Ratio of the ratio of 60 centimeters to 1 meter. 60 centimeters to 1 meter. You can see here the first quantity is in centimeters, the second quantity is in meters, and you have just said here ratio should be expressed using the same unit. So we have to convert these meters into centimeters. In this case, we'll have 60 centimeters to 100 centimeters. We have converted the meter, the 1 meter into centimeters, and we all know that 100 centimeters equal 1 meter. So this one, the first rule has been met. The second rule here has been met. You express the ratio in same unit. So these units are the same. The first rule says that ratios should be expressed in simplest form. Now expressing 60 to 100 in its simplest form, this 0 cancels out with this 0. We have 6 to 10, 2 goes here 3 times, 2 goes here 5 times. Therefore, 60 to 100 in its simplest form, we have 3 to 5. 3 to 5. So the ratio of 60 meters to 1 meter will be equal to 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Then another example. I hope you are following. Another example, can give many examples. Example, are you following? Example number 2. Express 400 grams as a ratio of 2 kilograms. 400 grams as a ratio of 2 kilograms. 400 grams to 2 kilograms. Again, you can see these two quantities have different units, grams and kilograms. Grams and kilograms. We can convert these kilograms into grams, then we get the ratio in its simplest form. We all know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Therefore, 2 kilograms will be equal to 2 times 1,000 over 1. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Therefore, 2 kilograms will be equal to 2 times 1,000 times 1, which is equal to 2,000. So we have here 4,000 grams to 2,000 grams. We have made sure that the quantities, number 1, are of the same unit. Then we can simplify further. 400 to 2,000, 400 to 2,000 in its simplest form. 400 goes here once. 400 goes here how many times? 5 times. Therefore, the ratio of 400 grams to 2,000 grams will be equal to 1 to 5. 1 to 5. So, a very important rule. Number 1, ratios should be expressed in simplest form. 2, ratio should be expressed in the same unit. We can take another example. Example number 3. Example number 3. Example 3. What is the ratio of 15 minutes to 1 hour? What is the ratio of 15 minutes to 1 hour? The ratio is 15 minutes to 1 hour. All right, you can see the units are not the same. first step, make sure the units are the same. So here we have minutes and hours. So we'll convert this 1 hour to minutes, and we know 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Therefore, 1 hour, this 1 hour will be equal to 1 times 60 over 1, which is equal to 60 minutes. So 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So the ratio can be rewritten as 15 minutes to 60 minutes. 15 to 60. 5 goes here once, okay, simplifying the ratio, the simplest form. 15 goes here once. 15 goes here how many times? 4 times. So the ratio would be 1 to 4. 1 to 4. Are we together? Yes, we are together. Let's work out another example. I take as many examples as time will allow. Example number 4. Example number 4 reads, simplify the ratio. Simplify the ratio 90 to 60 to 120. That is the example. Simplify 90 to 60 to 120. Simplifying, we divide this side by 10, because zeros are common. This 0 cancels out with this 0, cancels out with this 0. Right? 3 goes here, is common. 3 goes here 3 times, 3 goes here 2 times, 3 goes here 4 times. So simplifying the ratio to its simplest form, we have 3 to 2 to 4. 3 to 2 to 4 is the answer. Simplify the ratio 90 to 60 to 120 is equal to 3 to 2 to 4. 3 to 2 to 4. Our last example, example number 5. Example 5. Express 5 over 6, 1 over 2, and 1 over 4 in ratio form. Express 5 over 6, a half, and a quarter in ratio form. 5 over 6, 1 over 2, 1 over 4. So the first step is to do away with the denominators, because these are fractions. So we will do that by first finding out the least common multiple of these 3 denominators, 6, 2, and 4. What is the LCM? And the LCM here is 12. The LCM is 12. So we multiply 12 by all the fractions so that we remove the denominator. So here we multiply 5 over 6 by 12. We multiply here a half by 12. We multiply here a quarter by 12. So that 6 goes here once, 6 goes here how many times? Twice. So that we have here 10. 2 goes here once, 2 goes here 6 times. 6 times 1, 6. 4 goes here once, goes here 3 times. 3 times 1, 3. So this is now expressed in ratio form. So we have 10 to 6 to 3, 10 to 6 to 3. So where you have quantities expressed as fractions and you want to convert the fractions or to convert the fractions in ratio form, we first do away with the denominators, then simplify it to the least in the simplest form. So 10 to 6 to 3 is the ratio form of 5 over 6, 1 over 2, and 1 over 4. So these are examples which we have done in our today's lesson to help us understand the ratio. Remember, we had an objective. We say that by the end of this topic or subtopic on ratios, we should be able to work out problems involving ratios. This was our first lesson where we introduced ratio, and we defined ratio as a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses the relationship, expresses how bigger the quantities are. We've said ratio is a relationship between two or more quantities that expresses how bigger the quantities are from each other. And we've given examples of these relationships, all right? And we started by looking at a relationship between Ali's weight and Aisha's weight. We went further and gave some important rules when working out ratios. We say that ratio should be always expressed in its simplest form. Then number 2, ratio should always be expressed using the same units. We have looked at examples to help us see how this is done, how to simplify ratios into the simplest form. You have seen that. We have worked out 5 examples. It is now your turn to do our assignments. Before we close the lesson, I'll give you some exercise as it is our custom. This is our custom. In mathematics, you have also to do exercise. A good student is one who carries out exercise. Number 1, write the following ratios in the simplest form. Write the following ratios in their simplest form. The first one is the first one here is 12 to 15, B 42 to 14, C 400 ml to 1000 ml, D 25 grams to a half kilogram, E 26 to 39 to 65. All right. Then we have F F is 2 to 3, 5, 6, 7 over 12. FG 250 ml to 1 liter to 1 liter. After G we have H 1 day to 48 hours. Then number 2, in a factory 65% are men and the rest are women. The rest are women. What is the ratio of men to women? What is the ratio of men to women? Question. Then lastly, just 3 assignments. In a library, a half of the books are English, 3/8 are mathematics, and the rest are of science. The question is, what is the ratio? What is the ratio? In other words, express the relationship between the English books, mathematics books, and science books in ratio form. Remember again the definition of ratio. We said is a relationship between two or more quantities that helps us understand how big the quantities are from each other. Ratios are used to compare quantities. And at that, we've come to the end of our today's lesson. I say bye-bye and God bless you.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello dear learner, welcome to today's lesson where we are going to learn self-awareness, and under self-awareness we shall learn about making choices. So welcome to the lesson and make sure that you are ready to learn. I am Teacher Purity and this is Manifested e-learning platform. In our previous lesson we learned about something different from what we are going to talk about today. Now, we talked about our emotions and feelings. And we said emotions are the strong feelings that we have either when something good or bad has happened to us. Emotions are those strong feelings that we experience when something good or bad happened to us. And we stated some of the emotions we can experience. For example, we can experience happiness, you can experience sadness, fear, and even frustration. It depends on the type of news that you receive. If there are good news, there is an emotion you will feel. If there are bad news also, you'll have a different emotion. Now today we want to learn about making choices. Making choices. What is a choice? A choice is a decision. You make a decision on something. For example, if a person asks you to choose between, let's say your parent has bought you two types of toys, a ball and a car toy, and your parent asks you to choose one among the two. You can decide to choose either the toy car or the ball. So whatever you are going to choose is your choice. It's a decision that you have decided. So a choice is a decision that one decides on. So a choice is a decision one decides on. So a choice is a decision one decides on, something that you decide to do. And in life, each and every day we make these decisions, and some of these decisions can either be good or bad. We make choices, and these choices at times can be good choices or bad choices. So we make choices every day. We make choices every day. We make these choices in our day-to-day life, and some of these choices can either be good or bad. Some of these choices can be good Some of these choices can be good or bad. Now, the choices that we make sometimes can be good or bad. Let's say when you wake up in the morning, then you decide not to go to school. That is a bad choice. You are not supposed to miss school. Or if you are supposed to miss school, make sure that you have an explanation why you are not going to school. Let your teacher know that you are not attending school today because of a reason. Maybe you are sick or you are visiting a person. So, bad choice, good choices, some of these choices can be good or bad. They can influence us in a positive way or a negative way. Now, good choices make our parents and God happy. Good choices make people around us happy. When you decide to help your parent with work at home, that is a choice. It is a good choice. And your parent will be much happier to see you helping him or her with work at home. And when your parent is happy, God is also happy. So, good choices make our parents and God happy. Good choices make our parents and God happy. Good choices make our parents and God happy. When you make a good choice, your parent will be happy, and so God. When you decide to visit the sick in the hospital, remember the sick are people in need. They are not feeling well. And some of these sick people do not have relatives who can even pay visits to them. When you make a choice of visiting them in the hospital, God will be very happy. Remember, God wants us to take care of people who are in need. So when you visit the sick, God will be very happy and He will bless you. Your parents, when you decide to help your parents with different cause at home, you are fetching water, you are cooking, you are helping your parents by cooking or even taking care of the baby, your parent will be very happy. Now, the contrary about the bad choices. Now, when you make bad choices, they will not make your parents happy. And God will also not be happy because of the bad choices. When you choose to steal pencils from other students or other learners in your class, that one is not good. Remember, God wants us to love one another. And when you love one another, you cannot be able to do something that will hurt them. So bad choices make our parents and God unhappy. They are not happy with your bad choices. So bad choices make our parents and God unhappy. So bad choices make our parents and God unhappy. When you make a bad choice, your parents will not be happy about it, and God will also not be happy about it. Now let me ask you a question. If your parent gives you 50 shillings and he or she sends you to the shop to buy one bread or a loaf of bread, then you realize that the shopkeeper has given a loaf of bread costs 50 shillings, and the shopkeeper gives you more change. He gives you maybe 60 shillings. That one is extra to what you are given. You are only given 50 shillings, and therefore the shopkeeper is not supposed to give you the change. Now, as a good child of God, what are you supposed to do with the money that the shopkeeper has given you as change? Will you take the money back to the shopkeeper, or you will just keep quiet with the money? Now, in such a situation, you will either have a good choice or a bad choice. Now, the good choice that you will make is taking back the money to the shopkeeper and telling the shopkeeper that he has given you extra change. You are not supposed to be given any change, but now he has given you. And the others who will make a bad choice, they will decide to keep quiet with the extra money. They will hide the money, or even call their friends and have fun. That is a bad choice. Always make good choices. Good choices make us to live happily with people around us. So always make good choices. So we should always know good choices make us to live happily with others. Good choices make us to live happily with others. Good choices make us to live happily with others. Living happily means you are not getting into fights. You are not arguing about anything. Your parent is always happy. And remember, when our parents are happy with us, they will buy you gifts. If you wanted a ball, your parent will buy for you a ball. If you wanted a doll, your parent will also buy for you a doll. So good choices make us to live happily with others. Others meaning the people around you, your neighbors, your friends at school, your teachers, and any other person around you. So we should always make good choices. We should always make good choices because they make God happy and also our parents. So this all about choices. Remember that a choice is a decision one decides on. Something that you decide on is a choice. And these choices can either be good or bad. Remember that we make choices every day, and some of them can either be good or bad. Now, the good choices will make our parents happy and God happy, while the bad choices will make our parents and God unhappy. They will not be happy about the choices you will have made. So good choices will always make us to live happily with others, and therefore we should always make good choices. I will read for you a story about good choices, about making choices, so make sure that you are paying attention. Now, the story about making choices. So, it is a story about a boy, a father, and a shopkeeper. And the boy is being sent to the shop by his father, where he will be given more change. Let's see what the boy will decide on. Now, Ezekiel, go and buy a loaf of bread and today's newspaper. Okay, father. Good morning, Mr. Jabali. May I have a newspaper and a loaf of bread, please? Good morning, Ezekiel. Yes, you will have them right away. Oh my, Mr. Jabali should not have given me any change. What do I do? Thank you so much, Ezekiel. I will have made a big loss today if you had not returned the money. God bless you. So I read for you the story again. It's a boy who is called Ezekiel, and he is sent to the shop by his father to buy a loaf of bread and a newspaper. So Ezekiel, now this is the father talking to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, go and buy a loaf of bread and today's newspaper. Okay, father. That's the reply that Ezekiel gives to his father. Good morning, Mr. Jabali. May I have a newspaper and a loaf of bread, please? Good morning, Mr. Jabali. May I have a newspaper and a loaf of bread, please? Now, Ezekiel has gone to the shop, but before he asked the shopkeeper to give him whatever he was sent, he first greets the shopkeeper. That one shows that Ezekiel is a polite boy. He has etiquette. First, he greets the shopkeeper and later requests to have the things that he had been sent, a newspaper and a loaf of bread. So that one tells us when you are sent to the shop, don't just go and start saying whatever you've been sent. No, it is always good to check on people. You greet them. Then, let's see what Mr. Jabali tells Ezekiel. Good morning, Ezekiel. Yes, you will have them right away. Oh my, Mr. Jabali should not have given me any change. What do I do? Oh my, Mr. Jabali should not have given me any change. What do I do? Now this is Ezekiel on his way back home. He has just realized that Mr. Jabali has given him change, yet he was not supposed to be given any change. He is asking himself what he should do. So whatever he will decide is a choice. Let's see what Ezekiel decides to do. So, thank you so much, Ezekiel. I would have made a big loss today if you had not returned the money. God bless you. So, Ezekiel decided to take back the money to Mr. Jabali, who is the shopkeeper. And we see Mr. Jabali thanking Ezekiel because he returned the money. He even tells Ezekiel that God will bless him. That is a good choice. Ezekiel made a good choice. He went back to the shopkeeper and gave him the money he had been given earlier. So when you make good choices, God is happy and he will bless us. So that's just a story about the choices that we make. Every day most of us are sent to the shop. And I know there is a time you have either been given more change or less change. If you have been given less change, you kindly go back to the shop and explain it to the shopkeeper. He will understand and help you out. So that's all about making choices. In our next lesson, we shall learn about making the right choices, how we can make right choices. But meanwhile, I'll leave you with some work. Copy the work in your exercise book and make sure that you are answering the questions. So the exercise is here. The question reads, write down 4 choices one can make. Write down 4 choices one can make. So you write the choices that one can make in the blank spaces provided, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And make sure that you are also going through your work just to identify if there is any mistake that you might have committed. So until next time, I have been Teacher Purity.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello boys and girls, I am so excited to have you for this lesson. This is Manifested e-learning platform and I am Teacher Purity. Now we are still continuing with reading, but for this lesson we shall learn a different sound, sound A. Sound A. So welcome to the lesson and let's all learn these words that have sound A. Now sound A is a vowel sound and it can be used either at the beginning of a word or within the word or at the end of a word. It depends with the type of word. Now let's look at the examples of words with the sound A. Examples of words with sound A. So my first word here is egg. Egg. Now the word egg has sound A at the beginning. Then we have elephant. Elephant. Now an elephant is a wild animal, you all know that, and it is among the big 5. The word elephant has sound A at the beginning of the word and along the word. We can also have another word, ate. Ate, the past tense of the word eat. The word ate also has sound A. Then we have bell. Bell, look at the word bell. Our sound A is in between the other letters. And we use a bell at a school. It tells us what we are supposed to do to change from one subject to another or from one activity to another. Another word we have event. The word event. An event is like an occasion, a ceremony or an activity. So in the word event, we have sound A at the beginning and also along the word. We also have another word, enter. Enter. The word enter also has sound A. To enter means you are getting inside. Getting inside. Another word, we have the word pen. Look at the word pen. It has sound A in between. Then best. The word best also has sound A. Then we have red. Red is a color and our blood is red in color. So the word red also has sound A. Now from what I have on the board, it's just a few examples of these words with sound A. Some of the words that have sound A. The first word is egg, and we get eggs from chicken at home. Then we have elephant. Elephant. The third one, ate. The past tense of the word, eat. Then bell, event, enter, pen, best, red. Now I want to take you through the words. You'll be repeating after each word. So the first word is egg. Egg. Elephant. Elephant. Ate. Ate. bell, bell. Event, event. Enter, enter. Pen, pen. Best, best. And lastly, red, red. We shall read the words one more time. Egg, elephant, earth, bell, event, enter, pen, best, red. So practice reading these words and get to know what they mean and how you can use them in making sentences. Now I'm going to leave you with some work on sound A. Copy the words in your exercise book and practice reading them. So practice reading these words. You are going to practice reading these words on your own. So make sure that you are correctly copying them in your exercise book so that you can have the correct word with you. And let's meet again during our next lesson where we shall together go through the assignments. Have a lovely time.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello learners, welcome to Manifested e-learning platform. I'm your chemistry teacher, Monique Nyaga. In this lesson, we still want to discuss the energy changes during melting and boiling. If you remember in our previous lesson, we were illustrating the effects of change, what happens when ice is heated to become a liquid, and this liquid is heated to become a gas. We defined two important terms, which were latent heat of fusion and latent heat of vaporization. We said latent heat of fusion is the heat energy required to melt a certain amount of a solid to a liquid at its melting point. The heat energy required to melt a certain amount of a solid to a liquid at its melting point. That is what we said as, or that is what we defined as the heat of fusion, or the latent heat of fusion. And again we said that if you want to melt 1 molar, or if you are melting 1 molar of a solid into a liquid, then that is called the molar heat of fusion. So the molar heat of fusion is the amount of heat energy required to melt 1 mole of a solid to a liquid at its melting point. That is what you call the molar heat of fusion. And the molar heat of vaporization, or to start with, the latent heat of vaporization, we said that this is the heat energy required to convert a certain amount of a liquid into a gas at its boiling point. The heat energy required the heat energy required by a certain amount of a liquid to convert it into a gas. That is what you called the latent heat of vaporization. And we said the molar heat of vaporization is the heat energy required to convert 1 mole of a liquid to a gas at its boiling point. And you give the example of water, that water, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So the molar heat of vaporization will be the amount of heat you require to boil 18 grams of water, because 1 mole of water is 18 grams. The amount of heat energy required to boil 18 grams of water at its boiling point. Again, this molar heat of fusion and molar heat of vaporization can be used to illustrate the strength of intermolecular forces which are holding the particles together. If the molar heat of fusion is high, then it means that melting this liquid will require more heat because the intermolecular forces of attraction are stronger. And if the molar heat of vaporization again is high, then it also means that the intermolecular forces of attraction are also strong. So when the molar heat of fusion and the molar heat of vaporization are low, it means the intermolecular forces of attraction are low. And when they are high, it now means that the intermolecular forces holding the molecules together are strong. With me, I have 2 examples. So these are the molar heat of fusion and vaporization. So we have the compound, we have the molar heat of fusion, which is measured in kilojoules per mole. Then you have the molar heat of vaporization, again measured in kilojoules per mole. And you have the melting point, which is in Kelvin. The first compound is water. The molar heat of fusion is 6.02. The molar heat of vaporization in kilojoules per mole is 40.7, and the melting point of that water is 273 Kelvin. Come to ethanol. The molar heat of fusion of ethanol is 2.39. The molar heat of vaporization of ethanol is 18.7, and the melting point of ethanol is 188. This one is showing that if you start here, that the heat of fusion for water is 6.02 and the ethanol is 2.39. So this shows that the molar heat of fusion of water is higher than the molar heat of fusion of ethanol. That again shows the difference in their melting point. So when the molar heat of fusion is high, then the melting point is high. When the molar heat of fusion is low, then the melting point is also low. That's why we have 6.02. The melting point is 273, and we have 2.39, and the melting point is 188 Kelvin. So it's showing the strength of the intermolecular forces, that in water, the intermolecular forces are stronger in water than ethanol. That's why ethanol has a lower melting point compared to water. If it comes to molar heat of vaporization, in water it's 40.7, and in ethanol it is 18.7. Again, the higher the molar heat of vaporization, then the higher the melting point of that substance. So you have the molar heat of vaporization, which is 40.7 for water, and the melting point is 273, and we have 18.7 kilojoules per mole of ethanol, and the melting point is 188. So it also, just like in the molar heat of fusion, in the molar heat of vaporization also, that the higher the molar heat of vaporization, then the higher the melting point of that substance. That is what I wanted you to understand very well in this topic. So you should be able to distinguish, or you should be able to explain the relationship between, one, molar heat of fusion and the melting point, and second, molar heat of vaporization and the melting point. That relationship, you should get it so clearly. And I've explained that very well. And there's a table again which is showing you so clearly the relationship between the molar heat of fusion and the molar heat of vaporization. So the lower the molar heat of fusion, then the lower the melting point, and the higher the molar heat of fusion, the higher the melting point. So the same thing to the molar heat of vaporization, that the higher the molar heat of vaporization, the higher the melting point, and the lower the molar heat of vaporization, the lower the melting point. And this is brought about by the intermolecular forces of attraction which are holding these particles together. That when these intermolecular forces of attraction are stronger, then the melting point is high. If these intermolecular forces of attraction are weaker, then the lower the melting point. I hope you get that so clearly. That is what I wanted you to understand in this lesson. I will leave you with this assignment. The assignment is explain the relationship in the following. Number A, molar heat of fusion. Molar heat of fusion and melting point. And second, molar heat of vaporization and the melting point. Thank you all for being part of this lesson. In our next lesson, we will be discussing the enthalpy changes in bond breaking and bond formation. Thank you.
Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello learners, my name is Stephen Kariungi. Today we are discussing the advantages and disadvantages of hard water. So let's start with the advantages. First of all, we said that hard water is water that contains minerals, that is basically magnesium and calcium ions, and therefore that water is the best for drinking, bearing in mind that calcium is important for strengthening of bones and teeth. So you can say that hard water contains minerals, e.g. calcium, that is important for strengthening of bones and teeth. Number 2, hard water, which contains minerals, is the best in brewing industry. So this water is useful in industries. For example, beer brewing industries, they prefer using water that contains minerals. Number 3, hard water prevents hard water forms a coating on the inside of the pipes that are carrying that water, especially those pipes that are made of lead. So on the inside, they become coated with calcium and magnesium compounds, thus preventing the water from coming into contact with the lead, which would cause lead poisoning. So we are saying that magnesium and calcium compounds coat the inside of lead pipes, preventing water from coming into contact with lead, which is poisonous. So this is what we call lead poisoning. So once the inside of the pipe is coated with magnesium and calcium compounds, then you find that the water itself does not come into contact with the lead pipes, and therefore lead poisoning will be prevented. So that's an advantage. On the other hand, we have disadvantages of hard water. For example, hard water, for instance, it coats the linings of kettles and also boilers, causing fur, the formation of fur, which interferes with the functioning, especially of things that are electrical. Once they are coated with fur from the hard water, then their functions are interfered with. Another disadvantage of hard water also causes blockage. Of hot water pipes, especially after those pipes have expanded because of the hot water. So that may cause blockage, something that will interfere with the flow of the water. We are also saying that hard water is not suitable for washing because it does not lather easily with soap. So it is not suitable for washing because it does not lather easily